Redshell, if you're watching this, don't try and take this video down. After my iceberg, a large portion of you wanted me to cover this, and this is the first YouTube video to properly cover this drama thoroughly and objectively. If you type Redshell scandal into YouTube, you will find nothing. This video is also completely alleged and are just allegations, and my points are nuanced. I'm saying this to prevent the 0.001% chance I get a lawsuit in my inbox about slander. This video is also unmonetized. I also want to make clear my intentions for this video. They are not to stir up drama, they are not to try and do some scuffed, unorganized Twitter-esque attempt at cancelling, they are to raise awareness. Like I said, there has not been a single YouTube video, let alone from a decently sized Overwatch creator, and let alone the video being of quality research on this entire situation. Some of you in my Overwatch iceberg brought up that you had no clue that Redshell was involved in any of the following that I'm about to mention, and that's because all of this drama has pertained to Twitter and Reddit and maybe Twitch, but Redshell and its mods ban any mention of this drama. You're literally witnessing the first YouTube video on this situation that I'm shocked hasn't been covered, which is a large part to why I'm even making this video. This video will also be split into 5 parts, with the first 4 being on this situation specifically, with each part being gradually more and more damning. The last one being solely on evaluation, yes, the skill that you're taught at school, and comparing it to the Callmecarson situation. Starting off with the shortest and arguably most tame part of this video is Redshell's now deleted tweet about the whole Sinatraa and Cleo drama. In short, Cleo had some pretty credible allegations against Sinatraa about Sinatraa sexually assaulting her, and Redshell decides to ignorantly reply with this tweet. Redshell cries about how Cleo couldn't be bothered to go to the police in spite of spending time of writing a tweet longer on the situation. Unfortunately, what Redshell fails to acknowledge is that Cleo did go to the police but waited months on end, with Sinatraa failing to cooperate with the investigation carried out by Riot alongside the backlash from Sinatraa stands, resulting in the deterioration of her mental health. Moving on to the second part, which is more intertwined with the video later down the line, are the Eskay screenshots between Eskay, Frogger and Redshell. In particular, Redshell was attempting to justify a relationship between a 16 and a 20-year-old. His argument boiled down to cultural differences, as in his country, he claims that it's very common for underage people to date old people. This is an extremely weak argument because in Nigeria, where the age of consent is 12 years old, or Japan, where the age of consent is 13 years old, this doesn't make it okay. Legality is separate from morality, and culture shouldn't be the end-all be-all of your moral compass. Redshell proceeds to say that if it's sexual, it's not okay. The issue is, as Frogger says, if there's anything going on. Redshell responds after, saying it's not the same thing as predating on underage girls, and that he's asking because of how screwed Mufin is, who got exposed for inappropriate messages with 16-year-olds. I actually believe Redshell is telling the truth here, because late March to early April is when talk around Mufin arose, and Mufin got fired from the uprising on April 4th. However, I do believe that Redshell was shaking in his boots a bit, because the following allegations that I'm about to go more in depth on were released around late June to early July of that year, when he sent these messages released by Eskay, was 22 years old. Redshell's birthday is on September the 2nd, according to TopTwitchStreamers.com, meaning that as of the release of this video, Redshell is 24 years old. It's very important to clarify these ages as we go through, because the timeline does shift. Now onto the third part, one of the actual allegations, starting off with the most important details, the ages. The victim, who I'll refer to as OWReignz, was 17 years old at the time. Redshell was 21 years old at the time. This entire exchange occurred on the 23rd of June 2019, evident by the PayPal screenshots in OWReignz's final document. This situation is probably the messiest one in the entire video, especially the timeline, so I will try and make things as clear as possible. In short, OWReignz wanted $1 to buy pizza, and in exchange, she would give adult pictures. Redshell decided to comply and gave her the $1. Some of you, especially the Redshell fanboys, might be saying, well, what's the issue? Well, legally speaking, Redshell did break the law. Age of consent is different to the age at which you're allowed to send adult pictures. For instance, age of consent in the UK is 16 here, but you have to be 18 until you can send adult pictures, meaning if you're 17 and you send adult pictures, that would be classified as child P. Not going to say the word so that this video doesn't get age restricted. The reason for this law is to protect minors in case anything of theirs gets leaked. This shows that Redshell, best case scenario, was just being very ignorant of the law. Morally speaking, Redshell's replies are what actually makes this worse. Redshell never takes an ounce of accountability and acts like a pathological liar in his responses. His responses are deleted, but OWReignz directly quotes Redshell in her documents a lot, which I'll go through now. I'll interchange her first and second response to Redshell throughout. Anything bold or anything with a crocodile bracket sign is directly quoted from Redshell. Thankfully, OWReignz goes through the points one by one. I won't go through every point she debunks, but I'll look through the most important ones. Everything mentioned in this video, if you yourself want to take a look, will be in the description. Also, OWReignz and Redshell are in different time zones, with OWReignz being 7 hours behind Redshell, meaning that this exchange and the lead up to it occurred between 5 and 6 PM for OWReignz and 12 to 1 AM for Redshell. First off, Redshell claims that she was this quote-unquote random girl and who joins and asks for $1 pizza for adult pictures. This is likely to be a lie. OWReignz regularly took part in Redshell's chat and Discord, was a 2-month subscriber, and when Redshell had whispered to her on Twitch, he told her to check Discord. If Redshell did not know this girl and she was just random, how does he know her Discord? This is a somewhat weak point though, as she could have just sent a friend request on Discord, which Redshell brings up in his response, and OWReignz does not deny. Secondly, Redshell claims that he did not know the girl's age. Redshell claims that after he gives his Snapchat to OWReignz, she then says in chat that she is 16. OWReignz clarifies that she was 16 when she met Redshell, and that this exchange occurred when she was 17, still underage. She's disclosed her age both in his Discord and in his Twitch chat. The first message was taken on March 27th, 2019, and the second message was taken 20 days before the exchange between OWReignz and Redshell, being June the 3rd, 2019. On the actual day of the exchange, OWReignz mentions her age again, but only after when Redshell sends the money. Redshell gives her the money at 5:08 PM, and a minute after, OWReignz tags Redshell saying she's 17, but plays it off, meaning that now, Redshell is almost certain of her age. So far, the best case scenario for Redshell is that he just didn't know adult pictures could be sent if you were under 18, which seems pretty convenient. Keep in mind, nothing adult has been sent yet, only the $1. Redshell responds to this by saying that he was still completely unaware that she was underage and did not see these messages in Twitch chat. He says that there are screenshots of her stating her age prior to this incident, but as a streamer, I miss a lot of messages in chat. OWReignz responds by saying that Redshell is lying because his chat wasn't very active, and how is Redshell going to see OWReignz asking for the money but not seeing her tag Redshell with her age? Again, seems very convenient. Even if Redshell didn't know the age, the responsibility is still on him to find out. I don't know why you wouldn't ask if you didn't know. Thirdly, Redshell claims that she never sent anything. Nothing happens and he deletes her. This is probably the biggest lie Redshell has told so far, and he's probably said this to protect himself from legal persecution, as he would have just confessed to a crime if he admitted he got sent adult pictures by a minor. This is understandable on the side of Redshell, but by choosing to double down further, you're just digging yourself a deeper hole. So how is Redshell allegedly lying? Well, firstly, OWReignz said that after she sent adult pictures, she'll send more. In her words, why would she say more if it never happens? Secondly, OWReignz, to the day of her first tweet longer, still has Redshell added on Snapchat from 53 weeks ago, which lines up with the day the exchange happens. Thirdly, she had the image saved to her eyes only Snapchat. Note that the adult pictures were sent between 5:44 and 5:51 PM her time. Fourthly, one of Redshell's mods implied that Redshell did receive pictures from OWReignz. Fifthly, Redshell himself admitted that he got the adult pictures. That's his exact wording in bold. So I don't actually know why Redshell is dodging back and forth, saying that she never sent anything and that nothing happened and that he deleted her, but also admitting in the same breath that she did send pictures. Very unreliable narrator. Thankfully, OWReignz just pointed this out by saying that you are admitting also to receiving these photos, which you just claimed to be fake and also previously claimed to have not received at all. Yes, Redshell did actually try and say that the Snapchat screenshots could be easily faked using the example of Dr. Disrespect, but I'm not going to go through that because Redshell just confessed here. Lastly, Redshell claims that he was still streaming, meaning that her screenshots don't make sense because he couldn't have sex with the girl while streaming with facecam. To back this up, Redshell shows chat logs from OWReignz showing messages from 12:30 and messages from 3 AM, Redshell time. This is equivalent to 5 PM and 8 PM respectively for OWReignz. This claim from Redshell makes no sense because at 31 minutes past, OWReignz says okay bye, implying that Redshell ended the stream. OWReignz takes this further by saying the pictures took place after you ended the stream, saying you were going to bed. I came back into chat around 2.5 hours later because you resumed streaming saying that you couldn't sleep, hence why am I saying things like, while you awake, I made him feel awake. This fits perfectly in OWReignz's timeline since pictures were exchanged at 44 and 51 minutes past 12, Redshell time, or 44 and 51 minutes past 5, OWReignz's time, which is after Redshell stopped streaming. The exchange itself between Redshell and OWReignz didn't happen on stream, but the build up to it did. Conclusively, this means that Redshell was okay with allegedly soliciting adult pictures from a 17-year-old, either being ignorant or actively knowing she was 17, pathologically lying in his responses with multiple contradictions saying nothing happened, but also saying that pictures were exchanged and something did happen. You could argue from a moral standpoint that Redshell not owning up to his mistakes is actually worse than the mistake he made, because if OWReignz was 1 year older, this drama wouldn't have been as big as it is. But I think that point falls flat when you consider this final part. Now onto the fourth situation. This is between a quote-unquote friendship Redshell had, who was 21 years old at the time, and an anonymous 16-year-old girl. This girl was defended by a third party called Lyunnie, due to her platform and previous experience voicing for other victims. Again, Redshell claimed that this was just a friendship, but as you'll see in the wise words of Frogger, there was something more going on. Redshell claims in his initial response on June the 29th, 2020 that this situation was 2 to 3 years ago, when in actuality it was 1 to 1.5 years ago, as all the screenshots that I'm about to show you took place between November 2018 to July 2019. The earliest screenshots show Redshell asking for an E-date on the 2nd of November 2018, with the girl stating that she's 16 years old and not 18. Redshell proceeds to ask her height, in which she replies with 5'4", and Redshell responds by saying how he loves short girls, they're cute, obviously implying that he finds her cute. Keep in mind, Redshell knows she's 16. Redshell, in a now deleted response, says that the conversation continues, blah blah blah, nothing happens. But as Lyunnie points out, Redshell conveniently cuts off the rest of the conversation because he eventually asks for a pic, saying send pic uru to a 16-year-old girl and calls her cute. I don't think this is just a friendship now, is it? Redshell also says in his deleted Google document that he's very obviously not interested in her, which judging by the DMs that you can look through yourselves and by this screenshot from mid-May, Redshell did start off conversations and did show persistent interest. Again, another lie. Lastly, the main thing Redshell lies about is him saying, note how I never mentioned anything about getting alcohol, in response to the girl's statement that Redshell would always drink with her. However, this is debunked by Lyunnie and the 16-year-old girl, as the screenshot where Redshell says he doesn't have enough alcohol implies otherwise. She also acknowledges that she drinks with him on Discord calls by saying that she can't get alcohol this early, which Redshell seems completely fine with talking to girls 5 years younger than him under the influence of alcohol. On these calls, the 16-year-old girl claims that Redshell would ask for her to send lewds, but in defense of Redshell, this is a he said she said claim. There is no hard, public evidence to prove that this was true, but you yourself can personally believe it with all the circumstantial evidence prior. With why the alcohol issue is a big deal, it essentially makes her more susceptible to doing things she wouldn't normally do and allows for a more abusive power dynamic. The 16-year-old girl herself, on a throwaway Reddit account, said this in response to why it's a big deal. So now, onto the last part of the video, which is a comparison to the Callmecarson situation and the use of power dynamics. It's very important to note that this last situation is not illegal for Redshell, but like I said, something can be legal but morally bad. So for some quick background on the Callmecarson situation, for reference, Callmecarson is a very popular Minecraft YouTuber who is 19 years old, talking to a 17-year-old. When these ages weren't known, people harshly critiqued Carson for technically talking to a minor, but when people finally found out that this age gap was almost negligent, the debate shifted to Carson taking advantage of his power dynamic. However, power dynamics aren't inherently abusive. If they were, people of different statuses couldn't date. For example, a rich person would not be able to date a poor person. The power dynamic only becomes abusive when you actually utilize your power in order to get something in return. Referring back to that example, if the rich person said that if the poor person dated them, they themselves would become very rich, that's an example of an abusive power dynamic. Applying this to the Redshell case, the only thing that would indicate an abusive power dynamic would be the drunken Discord calls, and if it was actually true, that Redshell would ask for lewds from a drunken 16-year-old. That is the only he said she said allegation, but the prior situations do show how creepy Redshell was acting. So what does this all mean? Should you keep watching him? And my answer to that is, do whatever you want to do, and I don't think it makes you a bad person for doing so. This is basically the debate of whether you can separate the art from the artist, and yes, you may feel bad about feeding Redshell's bottom line, but the fact of the matter is, you not watching Redshell isn't going to hurt his bottom line. Even hundreds of people choosing to not watch Redshell on Twitch isn't going to hurt his bottom line, or stop what he's doing. Keep in mind, his editors make his content as good as it is, not him. And even if it was him, look at music artists. Chris Brown, XXXTentacion, all have a shady past and history, but millions of people still listen to them, and I think it's a stretch to say they're bad people for doing so. You can enjoy art whilst hating the artist as much as you want. So in conclusion, from the evidence, Redshell is not a nonce, but he is an alleged creepy, ignorant, apathetic, unapologetic liar. With the last situation, he lies that this happened 2 to 3 years ago. He lies that it was just merely a friendship. He lies that no alcohol was mentioned. He crops out certain screenshots to paint himself a better picture, and I hope this video sheds more light on the situation. You yourself can decide whether you want to stop watching his content or not. Before I end off this video, some of you have been saying that you don't want this channel becoming a drama channel. Don't worry, I'm not leaving the educational genre. I'm still pumping out YouTube shorts, and my next video is planned on doing a team comp guide, but I felt morally obliged to make this video considering that nobody else has talked about this at all, let alone in depth. Until my next video.